Okay, we're going to start with our first story today. Hi, Aunt Jay. I don't know if I'm being selfish or if I've got the wrong end of the stick, or if Charlie is actually controlling me. He never raises his voice. He never sounds harsh. He always has an answer that feels logical, even caring, and that's what makes me question myself. When I was working, I absolutely hated my job, long hours, and a boss who made my life miserable. I was constantly stressed out. I'd come home crying, constantly snapping at Charlie, hardly able to function. Charlie sat me down and said, "You don't have to put up with this, all of this stress. Hand in your notice and stay home. Take care of the house. I'll handle all the money. And that way you'll have the weight off your shoulders." And honestly, at the time, it felt so good. It really was a weight off my shoulders. And I thought, here's a man looking out for me, taking the pressure off. I was relieved. But slowly, little things started to creep in. Not long after I quit, I picked up a skirt and a couple of tops in a sale. Nothing crazy. Charlie smiled and said, "It's not about the shopping, babes, but I'm the one paying the bills. It just makes sense for you to check with me first." And to be honest, some of those tops, well, they're a bit much. They're too tight and too low cut. I'm only telling you this because I don't want people looking at you the wrong way. I want you to feel comfortable. Well, it sounded caring, but the more and more it happened, the more I found myself holding clothes up and wondering what Charlie would say. I started dressing to avoid the look from him. When my phone broke, I told him I needed a new one, and he said, "You don't really need a new phone now. You don't have a job. We've got a house phone. Why waste money when you're not working? I've got one because I need it for work, but you, it would just be for scrolling all day, winding yourself up. You don't need the stress." I mean, again, I know it sounds reasonable, but the phone was how I kept in touch with my sister Abigail, with my friends, even family WhatsApp chats. Without it, I just felt cut off. But Charlie made it sound like a luxury that I was being silly about, not a necessity. The other day, my sister Abigail came over. She was moaning about her gas and electricity bills and asked who our supplier was. I just sat there embarrassed because I actually didn't know the answer. I couldn't tell her who our supplier was. I didn't actually know anything about our bills or accounts. I laughed it off, but inside I just felt stupid. That evening, I brought it up to Charlie. I said I felt so silly not even knowing who our supplier was. He just smiled and said, "See, that's the difference between you and Abigail. She's got to stress about bills and suppliers because she doesn't have a man to take care of her. You're lucky. You don't have to worry about things like that." A part of me thought, wow, I am lucky. But another part of me felt like I was being treated like a child. It was the same when I mentioned wanting a girls' night out. Charlie said, "Look, I'm happy to cover everything so that you don't have to work. But that does mean some sacrifices. You can't expect to be having girls' nights with Ubers, drinks, and new outfits all the time. And anyway, we've got our own date nights, just the two of us. That should be enough, shouldn't it, babes?" How could I argue with that? He just made it sound impractical, selfish even, so I stopped going. But the moment that really unsettled me was on my birthday. My mum and my sister Abigail gave me some money for my birthday, and I decided to treat myself, a new hairstyle and highlights at a nice salon. The stylist suggested honey blonde tones, something fresh. I felt amazing. Even people in the salon complimented me. For the first time in ages, I looked in the mirror and saw me. I couldn't wait for Charlie to see it. But when he walked in that evening, he just stared and said, It's not that you look bad, you look lovely, but it's the principle. Marriage is a partnership. You can't just go off making big decisions like that without talking to me first. Imagine if I came home with something like that without asking you about it first. How would you feel? I ended up in tears, and he cancelled our birthday dinner, so there was no point celebrating when clearly I didn't respect him. I spent the whole night apologising, and it went on like that for days. For a whole week, I found myself grovelling, saying sorry over and over, just for getting my hair done. When he finally accepted my apology, he told me, "Marriage is a partnership. You don't go around making decisions on your own." I just nodded, but something inside me just shifted that day. I just couldn't shake that feeling, and something in my gut just wouldn't let go. Who spends the whole week apologising over a hairstyle and ends up missing their own birthday dinner because of it? But then I'd hear his words again and again, calm and reasonable, and wonder if maybe I was the problem. So later that day, I told him perhaps I should go back to work to ease the pressure on him. He said, "Babes, you were miserable the last time you worked. Stressed out, moody, and unhappy. Why would you even consider putting yourself through that again? You've never actually even had a job that you've ever liked. Even if you did, it would just be more pressure on both of us. Let me take care of things. That's what I'm here for." And here's the thing, Aunt Jay, he's always so calm and so reasonable, like he's protecting me. But when I look at my life now, I don't have a phone, I don't go out, I don't know a single detail about our bills or finances. And every time I try to make choices for myself, I end up apologising. So I don't know, am I being selfish, wanting too much, or is Charlie controlling me? I just can't see it clearly. You're not being selfish, you're being managed, step by step, until nothing is yours anymore. Your job, your phone, your money, your nights out, even your hairstyle. Each one chipped away until all that's left is what Charlie allows. And here's the clever part. He makes it sound caring, logical, like he's protecting you. And that's how he keeps you doubting yourself instead of him. Cancelling your birthday, making you apologise for a week. That wasn't about hair. That was about power. And he wanted you to know where you stood. A real partnership doesn't mean asking for permission for clothes, friends, or bills. It doesn't mean apologising for just being yourself. It means having an equal voice, and right now you don't. So stop asking if you're selfish and start asking why the man who claims to love you needs you small and dependent to feel in control. Well, those are my thoughts. Let me know what you all think in the comments section. Now, on to our second story today. So our second story today, every time I share good news, my best friend Chloe manages to turn it into a competition. She can't just be happy for me. She has to prove she's already done it and done it better. Hi, Aunt Jay. Chloe's been my best friend since we were 12. We grew up together. We went through all of the usual teenage drama side by side. And for a long time, I thought she'd always be the person in my corner. But somewhere along the line, every milestone in my life became an opportunity for her to compete with me. When I got my first proper job, I was so excited. It wasn't glamorous, but it felt like freedom, my own money, my own independence. I called Chloe straight away, expecting her to cheer with me. But instead she said, "Oh, I was offered that role last year, but I turned it down. The salary was far too low for me." I just laughed it off. But later that night, I couldn't shake it. I should have been proud, but instead I felt like a child showing off pocket money. A year later, my partner and I scraped together enough to buy our first flat. It was small, and nothing fancy, but it was ours. Chloe came over to see it. She looked around, nodded and said, that's nice. But we're waiting for something bigger though, probably with an island in the kitchen. I'd been buzzing to show her where we'd be starting our lives together. But as soon as she left, I just felt so flat and low. And suddenly what should have been a great day just left me feeling like we'd settle for scraps. Then came our engagement. My partner proposed in the park where we'd had so many Sunday walks. It was simple, thoughtful, and perfect for us. I phoned Chloe, literally shaking with excitement. Her reply, "Oh, that's lovely. When Paul asked me, he flew me to Paris. Eiffel Tower at sunset. Absolutely unforgettable." I looked down at the ring, which an hour before had made me feel like the luckiest woman alive. And now, all I could think was cheap, small, and second best. And even little things got swallowed up. When I got a promotion, Chloe barely let me finish the sentence before cutting in. They offered me something similar years ago, but I didn't want the stress. I could have had that if I wanted it. The other day I mentioned to her that we might get a dog, and she started talking about breeders and how she was going to get a more unusual breed than the one I liked. And now I've started hiding my happiness. When good things happen, I hesitate before sharing them. Not because I don't want to celebrate, but because I know Chloe will turn it into a contest. Even my partner's noticed. He asked, why did I downplay our holiday when I told her about it? And the truth is, I was bracing myself. If I admitted how special it was, she'd tell me she'd been somewhere bigger and better and more exclusive. Chloe and I share so much history together. She knows my childhood better than anyone, and she's been part of all of my milestones so far. But every time I reach for joy, she takes a piece of it away. I just don't know if I should keep her in my life because of the past, or accept that the friend I once knew isn't the one that I've got now. You've answered your own question in a way. A friend who can't celebrate you isn't really a friend. She's an audience for her own performance. Chloe doesn't see your milestones as your joy. She sees them as a scoreboard. That's why you leave every conversation feeling smaller. It's not an accident, and it's not about her feeling insecure. It's about her needing to prove she's always one step ahead. And you've noticed the consequence already. You're already hiding your own happiness, downplaying good things, even stopping yourself from celebrating. So here's your choice. You can keep her in your life and accept that every moment you share will be measured against hers. Or you can step back, create some space, and protect your joy. History matters, but your peace matters more. And honestly, a friend is supposed to clap for you, not outshine you. Well, those are my thoughts. Have you ever found yourself in any of these situations? And what advice do you have? And how would you deal with it? Let me know in the comments section below. Let's keep the conversation going. Thanks for watching, and subscribe for more true stories like this. I post every single week. But until next time, guard your heart and protect your peace.